what? Which will look like I just woke up. Huh?
Totally got you off guard. Did it on purpose. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 239, where one half of us knew we were going to go live.
I mean, I knew we were going to go live because it's 6, but I wasn't quite ready.
We are doing a show tonight that we haven't done in a while. I realized after going through a lot of the emails and stuff that it's been a while since we've done one of these. It's one of our favorite episodes to do, and that is a viewer mail episode / inspiration, where we get to share your stories that were sent to us over the last few months, triumphs, successes, battles that maybe you're trying to get through. It's a wonderful way for us to show you how you can inspire each other to get out there and do some pretty incredible things. So tonight is a viewer mail episode, and it's going to be full of inspiration. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Cool. Well, grab your beverage of choice, sit back, relax, get ready. Ginger Runner Live episode number 239 begins right after this.
Ginger Runner.
Yay! I was ready.
You were ready. Right on it. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy Mondays to spend a little bit of it with us. Happy December.
It's Christmas month.
It's Christmas month. Well, for us, it's pretty much as soon as September rolls around, it's Christmas.
True.
Okay, July. Let's be totally honest here. It is December. It is cold here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm sure some Northwesterners are like, it's not cold. What are you talking about? Well, you don't have a house that bleeds heat. We might as well just bring a blanket in here.
It is cold in here. And
cold.
Actually, they have been talking about how cold it is on the news. So
Justified.
that makes me believe that people do feel like it is actually
Justified.
cold.
We have an exciting show tonight. We do these as often as we can. A lot of the time we just have so many guests and people that we want to bring on the show that that's what's recently happened. We just haven't been able to do one of these episodes. Viewer mail and inspiration. This is where we get to share some of the stories that you guys share with us. And we'll be reading those here live on the air. And it's a great way to show the viewers that the viewers can inspire you. You can all inspire one another. All your stories inspire us, so it's a way for us to kind of share some of those stories. It's a really cool thing for us to get to see what you are up to, what you are all up to, all the things that you're crushing, the trails that you're crushing, the races that you're crushing. Cool.
It's cool.
What are you doing here?
I was just trying to catch up. And I'm like, somebody's talking about sleeping on couches. I don't really know what's happening. I'm just trying to catch
tonight.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up here. There's people saying it is not that cold in Seattle.
No, I knew as soon as I said that. I was like, the locals are going to be like, what are you talking about? It is not that cold. I think it's in the 40s or 50s. It's pleasant.
Yeah,
but our house, I think, is about 3 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes, it's cold. I don't know my Fahrenheits. I'm still a Celsius through and through.
Math in your head.
Yeah.
So of course I'm Ethan, your host, joined by
Kim, and we are live, you guys. So even though we don't have a guest with us today, you can interact with us in our live chat room. So you can pop in comments, questions. If you have a short inspirational story you'd like to share, if we have time, we'll pull some things throughout the show as well.
Yeah, we jump into the chat room. It's a great place to communicate with other viewers, of course. If you have questions throughout the evening, you didn't get to submit a viewer mail over the last few weeks, months, that's totally fine. You can drop into the chat room, let Kim know what's been going on in your life, and we'd like to read some of those comments as well. Big shout out to both Brian and Deb who are in the chat room. They just raced this last weekend. Brian Sands, who we talk about on the show, ran his second 50K. Speaking of which, we do this show every week. Every Monday we go live. We have guests. It's been a wonderful thing that we've been able to do this show for almost 5 years. More than 5 years? The math in my head also converts from Celsius.
We also need to find out what day was the first Ginger Runner Live.
It's easy to figure out. I can't do it while we're live here just because of the way things are set up. But if you watching want to let us know when the first Ginger Runner Live was, it's easy. Just go back in the playlist to the very first episode. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to mess up the live stream. Let us know when that first one was. I believe it was 2014, but it could easily be 2013 because the way that the episodes work out, we've been doing this for, I'm going to say 5 years. I think it's been 5 years, which is amazing. And the reason we're able to do this now as part of our full-time job, because of course this channel is more than just Ginger Runner Live, but the Ginger Runner Live is a huge part of it, is because of our Patreon supporters. So big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters of all levels. 3 in particular at that top tier just continue to help make this happen. We'd love to shout them out at the top of every show. For example, Chris Lee from Hong Kong has been a huge supporter of this show. He showcases all the local trails there in Hong Kong through an organization called Trailblazer. I encourage you to look it up if you're ever in that area or currently live in that area. Trail running is huge there right now. It is blowing up, and Chris is at the forefront. So big shout out to Chris. Rick Bjarnason and his team at cheekymonkeymedia.ca, their Canadian web design company. He himself, Rick, is an ultra runner, stout ultra runner, and he's right now starting his training into the 2019 season for some pretty big races. Sinister 7, Fat Dog 120, just to name a couple. Some of the hardest races, if not the hardest races in Canada.
Yes.
Super stout ultra runner. But they also are redoing the gingerrunner.com website. And a big shout out to that team because they've been working hard on it for a long time. And we have some pretty exciting news coming up soon to unveil that site. And finally, Brian Sands, who I just mentioned. Brian Sands has been a longtime supporter of us, longtime viewer, big member of the community here. You'll see him in the chat room, if not live, every Monday. You'll see him also in the Facebook for you Patreon crew members as well. But he's been a huge supporter, ran his first marathon last year, first 50K this summer, and just this last weekend finished his second 50K, which is astounding. He's just an inspiration to us all. So big shout out to Brian. His journey has just been incredible, losing over 100 pounds and just continuing on his flight to stardom, his escalation in awesomeness. Oof, man, my adjectives need some work tonight. But big shout out to Brian and Deb because they both ran the same race and they both crushed it.
Google Bot Me says pilot episode was February 3rd, 2014, and episode 1 was February 10th, 2014. So we're coming right up on 5 years.
Yeah. Okay, because I know that we do take a couple week break at the end and beginning of every year. There's usually like a month that we just we go dark on the live shows. We still post videos and stuff, but interesting. So February, we're gonna have to do something big because it's the 5-year anniversary. We'll probably be right up around 250 episodes. We'll be up there.
We will officially be up there.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Okay, so if you are watching right now and you have a story, a recent accomplishment, we would love to shout it out. So drop into the chat room, let Kim know what you have had going on, and we'll make sure to shout you out. What's going on in the chat room right now?
Jeff in the chat room says, Ethan is drinking my favorite winter brew.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Ninkasi Brewing seasonal release of Slayer. It is probably one of the best holiday darks. It is insane as far as flavor and depth. It's really, really good. It's also 7.2%.
It's only 7.2.
I know.
The show might not be as...
Oh, no, it'll be spicy.
Oh.
And Kim, you're enjoying some adult libation of the Ghosts variety.
Holiday Ghosts. Sour series.
I always say
Ale
Ghosts.
brewed with cranberry, orange zest, and spices.
The spices.
It's 4.3%, which is more my pace.
4.3? That's so light.
So I can have 1.5 drinks tonight.
Yeah, Kim's going to go hard on a couple. I honestly didn't think it was that light. I figured with the holiday spices that Ghost was going to be the goose.
And it's also wearing a really cute Christmas sweater.
Before we get into the viewer mail, I want to make sure everyone knows about Ginger Miss. Ginger Miss will be taking place December 15th and 16th, which is not next weekend, but the weekend. Is that math right? 2 weekends. It is. It's got to be 2 weekends from now. All the details will be forthcoming. They're much like last year. We're going to have a website where you just go and you put in your email and you will receive the email with all the instructions. That's basically it. It helps. It's free. So it keeps the registrations all very succinct. So we're not sending out emails to people who don't want them, and it basically keeps everything self-contained. The good news is that we're working on the list of scavenger hunt items and all that stuff. Yep. It's an amazing fun weekend where people from around the world get to just collect points. It's kind of a cool game that you get to play. And
maybe carry around a cardboard cutout of Gus's face. Maybe.
Yeah. There's going to be some cool spicy surprises. So please keep your eye out on social media because we're going to pump it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. It'll be everywhere.
We're just going to pump it out there.
Pump it out there. But you'll want to sign up for that like as soon as you can. You'll be getting that email. It will describe all the details, and we have some prizes lining up. Again, Nordic Track is hooking us up this year with some epic stuff. I got confirmation today that Nordic Track is bringing it big, as they do, as they have for the last few years. So our grand prizes are, of course, going to be monstrous. I think we're going to maybe have a couple this year. We'll see.
A2B2 in the chat room says, already have our route planned. People plan ahead.
We have some wild, like some twists on rules from previous. So be prepared for some twists, because it is the holidays.
It is the holiday.
But the prizes are going to be thousands of dollars worth of prizes. There is no entry fee. It is our way of giving back. We just want to give a lot of really great stuff. We've got the confirmation from a bunch of different sponsors. Squirrel Nut Zippers. They're going to come and perform. Squirrel's Nut Butter. They're going to be giving a bunch of stuff away. Gary Robbins has confirmed he will be joining us for the live Gingermas episode, as always, per tradition. And he's giving away so many race entries. He gave me the list, and I was like, are you sure? This isn't like a joke? He hasn't verified that it's not a joke.
Are you trying to like will your Gary beard to grow? You're like, come on, Gary beard. I say this often about shows we have throughout the year, but the Gingermas show is my favorite show of the year. Things get a little loosey goosey, a little willy nilly, a little cattywampus, if you will. And yeah, there's people already asking earlier on, is Gary going to be joining? We're going to be seeing Gary Claus again.
Listen, Gary has been MIA from social media for a while on purpose. He's like, much like us, we've been trying to step away from it for a while, just because it is so easy to take over someone's life. That being said, he's stepping out of the shadows to come join us for Gingermas episode. As per tradition, he was like gung-ho about it. And what he's planning on giving away, I'm just going to say right now, all the Squamish races are sold out, except for the winners of the Squamish race entries that we're giving away during Gingermas. So there's some secret entries that he has put aside for this. This is great. Okay, let's get into it. So, of course, we put out the call for submissions for our viewer mail, and this can be anything from stories about things that you've done, failures, your journey, just questions in general about what we do, or things that we have upcoming. It can be pretty much the whole gamut. And we've received a ton of emails since the last time we did viewer mail, so I apologize if we're not getting to one that you submitted a long time ago, because it was a couple months. At least. Yeah,
it's been a while.
Been a bit. So we're going to kind of work in no particular order. I have pulled aside close to 10 different emails. We'll see if we can get through all of these. We'll do my best. Once again, though, in the chat room, if you are just joining us live or wanted to watch or are watching live, just jump in there and let us know maybe some things that you've been crushing lately, and we'll make sure to get to those.
And before we really get into it, we actually have, I think, last year's grand prize winner from Gingermas, Ryan, in the chat room, and he says he's been loving his treadmill since last Gingermas.
We did an incline trainer the last couple of years. It has like that screen with the TV, and you're basically doing kind of like this step, or no, it's like a treadmill, but it goes up to a certain incline, so you can do like mountain climbing essentially. It has been an awesome prize. We're doing some other things this year that are really exciting. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Well, shout out to you, my friend, and I hope you're enjoying it. These pieces of gear are like thousands of dollars.
We always are just like, we want that. Can we win?
Yeah, we don't have these prizes. We don't have these.
We don't have them.
Can we also win the grand prize for our own contest? Can we give back?
Gus says no.
Yeah, Gus says no.
Yeah.
All right. So our first email comes to us from Tim. This is actually one that you got and forwarded it on to me. So Tim says, "Hey Kim, I know you're busy, but I've included a little bit of an overview of my running journey below. My story is now 2 years long, which began after I thought I could quickly get back to running as I had a decade earlier. Suffice to say, I was slower, a lot slower, heavier, a lot heavier, but my mind left me frustrated. I knew I could be better, so I set myself a goal, one I couldn't shirk or push back, my first London marathon. I ran 4 hours 11 minutes, which was slower than my 4-hour goal, but I was happy. 2017 fizzled a little after that. I loved running, but my weight stayed the same, and so did my pace. Watching the Ginger Runner 2018 goals, I decided I would set my own. I would lose 10 kilograms, sub 4-hour marathon, and 1,000 miles. I have run much faster this year because of my weight loss. I am 11 kilograms lighter. Crushed his goal. And my marathon time was 3 hours and 51 minutes in London. Amazing. I have totaled an embarrassing 531 miles as my motivation waned after a long trip to South America with my school pupils. However, I have Paris Marathon for the spring and new targets. I'm hugely grateful to the community you both have established and the content you share. Times are a great motivator to me, but the sense of community and traveling the world while running is the most rewarding. Thank you to everyone in the group chat, viewers, runners, elites, coaches, etc. for the advice and inspiration they offer. Here is to an amazing 2019 Boston Marathon by 2022. Now I've said it's an official. Now that I've said it, it's an official goal. Nice job, Tim.
That's pretty awesome.
That is really awesome. Surpassed his weight loss goal. Also surpassed his marathon goal. It's amazing. And don't worry about the 1,000 miles. The fact that you had 531 miles this year and crushed your marathon goal by that much and lost that much weight.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing. Way to go, Tim. Moving on to the next one. This one comes to us from Penny. Thank you, Ethan, Kim, Gus, and the Ginger Runner family. We are not ultra runners yet, but love sitting around the computer every Monday night together to watch the show. I wonder if they're sitting around
Maybe they
watching
are.
right now. We are inspired every week and are challenged to push ourselves farther too. We have an exciting year planned in 2019 as a running family, and we credit you with inspiring us to run after new challenges together. Cece, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, our 17-year-old just signed up to run her first half marathon with Joe, Daddy, and I, Penny, the mom of our little tribe, just jumped headfirst and signed up to run my first marathon as a charity entry in the Chicago Marathon. Our youngest, James, who is 13, is looking forward to his first mini try also. That's pretty awesome to have a family of four like that. That's really awesome. Just crushing it. And also, Penny, a side note, the Chicago Marathon, a lot of Ginger Runner viewers make Chicago their first. It's a popular one for first timers. It's flat. It's fun. You're going to have a great community there supporting you, in addition to you also running it. I hate to overuse the word inspiration, but truly that is what you have all been for us. I know that we can accomplish anything that we decide to go after. Even if we might not be the fastest or best, we can still enjoy the process. Kim, I personally have been so touched by your struggle seen in altering expectations. I think of it often when I feel down about being more of a back-of-the-pack runner. We've never met, but you all are like family in our hearts. We keep Gus's picture on the fridge, too. Lol. Much love, Penny and the whole DeWitt family. Thank you, Penny, and to the whole family. I hope you guys are watching, sitting around the computer watching, because that's amazing.
I also love that Penny says, even if we might not be the fastest or the best, we can still enjoy the process. And I think that's so important. And it's a struggle. Like she mentioned, that being closer to the back of the pack, like even if you aren't, podiuming or winning, whatever, as long as you're still enjoying it, doesn't matter.
I mean, I think we set out very early on in our running journeys not to listen. I know I'm not an elite. I'm not in any shape or form ever going to win a race or be an elite in any capacity. I think we know this, right? There are those runners who have that as a goal to win or to podium at a race. And those are incredible goals.
Like amazing Casey that we have in the chat room
Casey
right now.
Casey Lichtai is a perfect example. She has quite the resume of podium, if not full-on wins, and course records and all that sort of stuff. I am not kidding myself by saying you're going to win the Boston Marathon, for example. I know I'm not, but that doesn't make my journey any less important to who I am or what I'm doing. And I think everyone has their path, and the path that you are on is important to you, and what you do and can accomplish in it is yours. So it's so easy to get caught up in the back of the packer, or my times just don't compare to other people's times. It's that comparison that is so easy to do, and we find ourselves falling into that trap so often. Step back. Remember, your journey is your own. Your path is your own, and it's important, and it's special. It's special for each and every one of us. Mm-hmm. I still remember your altering expectations experience, like running that 50K with you was one of my favorite experiences racing.
That's nice. No, that race will always sit with me as being like super memorable. That's nice. You weren't the one like dry heaving.
I'm here for this. No, I wasn't. I was the one documenting the dry heaving.
But I will say that, like that day went basically the complete opposite of how I imagined it going in my mind, or how I wanted it, or dreamed up, or had, put this thing on this pedestal. But having said that, I wouldn't change that day.
Right.
Because I have that kind of in my pocket of like, this is what I did, and this is what happened, and I still ended up on the other side of it, and everything's fine.
Yeah.
So,
moving on. Next viewer mail. This one comes to us from Paul. Prior to May 2015, I'd run some 5Ks, 10Ks, a half marathon. Mostly, running was what kept the depression at bay. Then, on May 21st, 2015, disaster. Left leg fib fracture. Surgery to put a rod in the tibia. The surgeon was saying that I'd be able to run again, but I had doubts. A good friend now my coach, encouraged me to, rather than focus on just getting back to the normal, pick a crazy big goal and work towards that. In a flash of simultaneous genius and insanity, I decided to run an ultramarathon. Fast forward through PT and rehab, January comes around and I was doing long stationary bike workouts to build endurance and short runs to build my ability to actually run. To break the monotony of the bike workouts, I fired up YouTube and stumbled across your film of Kimberly running her first ultra. Speaking of which, I was hooked. Your film of running Cascade Crest, my favorite. All those films, short and long. In one of your films at the finish, you said words to the effect of, if I can do this, you can do this. And I started to feel like maybe the goal was not entirely bat crap crazy. By the way, bat crap crazy, adding it to my lexicon. I've watched those films so many times I've lost count. They turned hours and hours of grinding away on the spin bike into engaged, focused workouts. At a time where, except for perhaps 4 people close to me, every single person who learned I wanted to run an ultramarathon thought that it was insanity for a late 50s overweight guy recovering from a broken leg to want to run an ultramarathon, your videos are part of what kept me going. In 2017, I ran the Mount Si 50K. Local, by the way. Mount Si 50K. That's gotta be a rough one. Success. And no sooner done than I reasoned, well, if I can run 31 miles, it doesn't seem obviously insane to think I might be able to pull off running 50 miles. More training, more work, and in March 2018, I ran Badwater Cape Fear, 51.4 miles. Current goal, 100 miles. Yes, I'm very much back end of the pack, of the crowd. I console myself with the thought that back of the pack is still ahead of front of the sedentary pack. If you ever wonder if what you're doing is important or making a difference in people's lives, well, the entertainment, encouragement, and inspiration I've gotten from you has made a huge positive difference in my life. Thanks. I have a giant gust hair in my mouth, so I apologize. But this is the story, this is the kind of stories I love reading, because there's usually something that clicks in someone's mind to give themselves a goal that seems a little crazy. And whether it's watching an old running movie that we did or something like that of a 50K or 50 miler, really what it is, it's a voice inside your own head telling you that you can possibly do this. It's not, maybe the video is something that's like, oh, I didn't know this existed, I want to research this more. But really, it's your own voice inside your head saying, give this a shot, or give it a try. What's the worst that can happen? And then what we see is this. It's like success. And it's amazing. So a huge congratulations, my friend. You ran the 50K Mount Si, which I know was a tough one. You crushed it. You got 50 miles. Now you're looking at 100 miles.
That's so incredible.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And I don't want people watching to think like that has to be what I do. Like that has to be my order of things. But this is just a perfect example of someone who doubted themselves of doing it and had the injury to go along with it. Managed to push through and get it done. What's going on in the chat?
Just real quick in the chat, Caitlin in the chat says, hey, just wanted to say really quick that finding this channel reinvigorated my running love. My first marathon is this weekend. I'll be thinking of you guys the whole grind.
Sweet. Happening this weekend? Listen,
that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome. Not only will Kim and I be thinking about you, Caitlin, but the whole crew will be. We'll want a report back.
On Monday.
So come back next Monday. Jump into the chat room. We'll recognize you because we're calling you out now. But Caitlin, please let us know how next weekend's marathon goes. I don't know you, but I do know that you got this. Like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, lots of words of encouragement from the chat room as well. If you guys do have questions, comments, please pop them into the chat room. We'll be trying to pull a few things here and there between our inspiration viewer mail.
Yeah.
There is a question from Nathaniel in the chat room. Nathaniel asked, Ethan and Kim, what inspired you to start Gingermas? What does it mean to you, and what are your favorite memories of the event?
1000%. What we found was that at the end of the year, we wanted to give back because we feel so blessed and thankful for the community throughout the entire year of allowing us to do this. And this goes to not just Patreon supporters. Patreon supporters, of course, allow us to do this as a job, but it's the viewers who come back. It's the viewers who maybe can't afford to join Patreon, but still come back and watch the videos, watch the reviews, watch the live shows, participate in the group chat here. It is in fact a community much larger than I think we ever anticipated, and continuing to grow and inspire one another. And so Kim and I were like, what can we do to give back at the end of the year? We love the holidays. It's hugely special to us. And we kind of came up with the idea, well, let's do like a contest of sorts, but without registration. Like some
Yeah,
sort
we're
of
like, how do we do like a giveaway, but we want to make sure we can include everyone. We didn't want to have we didn't want to have a fee to pay to
we
get
didn't
into
want to charge
this.
spectators.
Yeah. Anyways, so this was just kind of our way of trying to give back.
Yeah.
And, you know, we wish we could give back 1,000 times more than that. We can't buy you guys all treadmills.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, we are very, very fortunate to have relationships with incredible brands. Ultra, Hoka, Running Warehouse, Nordic Track, Squirrels, Nut Butter. I mean, all of the list goes on. Gary Robbins, of course, Coastal Mountain Trail Series.
Yeah.
The North Face, Arc'teryx. I mean, there's just brands and brands on brands on brands. I'm not even scratching the surface. So for us, it's important that we have these relationships. Why not share it with everyone? So we reach out to these companies and say, hey, we're doing this giveaway. Do you want to give anything away as prizes? And 100% it is always a yes. They love it. They love the idea of people not having to register for anything, and it's just like, giveaways for everyone.
Go do some like wholesome fun with family and friends. And yeah, as far as favorite memories, I don't have one specific favorite memory, but I love seeing all the pictures. Like we barely show, you know, we try and show like a few of them during the Gingermas live show, but I legit look at them all.
We both do. We sit down, we look through all the photos that people tag and stuff on social media. We always do, you have to spell Gingermas with GPS. So when you track your GPS, you know, you track your run, because normally what Gingermas is, it's a scavenger run where we give you a list of items and you just go for a long run. You plan it out and you take the pictures of the items. We're also very kind of, what is it called, where we don't like engaging with strangers, like in public. Introverted.
Yes.
We find ourselves pretty introverted, so it is an introvert-friendly scavenger hunt, because just I think the word scavenger hunt gives people anxiety. This is much more, just be the creeper at night that goes by and takes a photo of Santa on the front porch or something. But it just seemed like the best way to do it, so it just turned into this fun thing. So a part of it is spelling on your GPS track Gingermas and maybe some other things, but that's always really funny to see where people spell it. Because sometimes it's in a park, sometimes it's on blocks of a street, sometimes it's in a stranger's front yard.
Brian in the chat room says spelling Merry Gingermas was the hardest and most fun thing I did last year.
I can't tell you how many emails or messages.
Brian ran a 50K last weekend.
He did run a 50K last weekend. I love getting the messages of, hey, I was spelling Merry Gingermas in the park, and a lot of people looked at me weird. I was like, yeah, they would, because you're doing... Who's the guy running like circles in the middle of a baseball field and then like
with like a headlamp on,
frustrated, cursing themselves? So yeah, we look forward to that, but I also look forward to the live show. Because the live show for me is a chance to sit down with Kim and with Gary and just celebrate the holidays, and it's our last show usually of the year.
It's usually like a let loose kind of just enjoy things
and wine,
and
Yule log go. So it is a bit of a It's a party. It's our Christmas party. We don't have a Christmas party. Like, we're not a business with a Christmas party.
That's our staff party.
That's our staff party. Oh my God. Our staff
That is
party
our
is
staff-
live in public and drunk.
And it's just us.
And it is just us and Gary. So that's it. Getting back to viewer mail. This one comes to us from Amber, regular viewer of the show. And this one goes to Gus. Dear Gus, who's a good doggy? You're a good doggy. So glad to see you're doing well and picking up the treats. To Ethan and Kim, Merry Gingermas. And are you Starbucks Christmas or holiday blend fan? We drink all the coffee.
We do drink all the coffee.
I liked this viewer mail because it was specifically for Gus.
Aww.
And for those of you who don't know, our dog has had some pretty serious medical issues over the last few months. Those of you who have picked up those head wraps have done an incredible thing because you've supported us in our medical bills that continue to climb. But we have some good news. Our pup, who no longer has a lower jaw, is able to pick up his toys and treats.
Yeah, which is really good. It's something we didn't think he'd be able to do. But he has a big
using his
appointment
tongue.
tomorrow.
Yes, so
Send good vibes.
keep fingers crossed.
Yeah.
This one comes to us from Robin. Hey, Kim and Ethan, just wanted to thank you for the channel and the community, especially the GR crew. All of the stories that are shared there are all inspiration. I need to get out and run. When I started running a few years ago, I stumbled on your channel because I was looking for a shoe review, but I soon discovered your content was a lot more than just reviews. It inspired me to check out the trails. I was running on roads most of the time, and this eventually led me to go to Canada for my holiday and run the Squamish 23K the previous summer. I got to meet Gary, who was as awesome in person as he is in your videos or on GRL. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Slayer. I want to touch on two things that maybe have inspired me a bit more than the other things. First, the Behind the Run episode with Yassine Daboon was some great content. Really loved that. Very inspiring. And I hope for more Behind the Run episodes in the future. And second, Brian Sands. As a bigger runner myself, I really get inspired by his story and it makes me dream bigger. I hope to run a 50K myself soon. So, thank you, Kim and Ethan. Thank you, GR crew. And for me, a special thank you to Brian Sands for all the inspiration. I loved this one, Robin, and that's why I wanted to read it tonight. It's just because, one, you shout out a member of the Ginger Runner community, the crew, Brian Sands, which I think is awesome. The fact that the crew members are beginning to know the crew members, which the
It's
last
so cool.
year, that has really been what's excited Kim and I, is seeing if you are tuning in right now for the very first time and you've made it this far into the show, welcome, because it really is an incredible family of like-minded people. And I promise, if you have a goal or a race, I don't care if you're in the front or the back, it doesn't matter. You have people here who will show up to that event and support you if you need it. It's happened multiple times this year, and that excites us so much to see the GR crew literally crewing, pacing,
Just showing up for each other and
cheering each other on.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And really cool that you got to run the Squamish 23K. And there was a note in here also about you went to the channel for a shoe review. I promise I have more reviews coming. There was a comment at the very beginning before the show even started of someone like, remember when this guy used to review shoes? I was like, I do remember that. It wasn't that long ago. In fact, it was just a couple weeks. But there are lots of reviews still coming. That's a whole part of the channel. It's how we got our start. That's not going nowhere. And yes, Robin, run a 50K. Promise you, you'll love it. All right, this one comes to us from someone who wished to remain anonymous, so they're just going to be Just a Guy MD. Hey guys, I'm a lifelong runner and a recent graduate of a medical residency in the United States. For those unaware, the residency experience is a particularly grueling process. We commonly do 30 to 36 hour shifts every third or fourth night with no guarantee of time to nap or sleep during those periods. There are nationally mandated monthly duty hour restrictions, but these are poorly monitored and many programs ignore these rules entirely. It's an experience that few can relate to and potentially a very isolating one. Rates of depression and burnout are commonly quoted at 50 to 60% amongst medical trainees, although these figures vary. During my time in residency, I ran infrequently due to fatigue and time spent in the hospital. I also became very depressed. It was around this time that I discovered that your channel had more than just gear reviews, and I started to listening to the old episodes of the Ginger Runner Live catalog. Though I had never considered an ultra, I found some common ground in hearing ultra runners talk about staying awake for 24, 36, or 40 hours, and crushing what seemed like absurd physical feats. In my darkest months, this channel was a refuge for me. I'm sure that there are others in similar situations listening to your channel, and I want you to know that your positivity and enthusiasm for the sport has helped me and probably countless others. Thank you for that, and thanks to Gary too. Now I've finished my residency and I'm starting to slowly recover and run again. I'm loosely targeting a 30K early next year, though I'd love to get up to about a 50 to 100K distance. I do have a question for you though. Would you ever consider adding a general endurance theme to the channel? You could interview a few folks outside of just ultra running that have accomplished similarly incredible feats of fortitude and endurance, perhaps as a limited companion series, maybe mountaineers or tales of survival, or people that have done similar things. I love running, but I also love stories of inspiration and courage. And I think these themes would dovetail nicely into what the Ginger Runner is all about. Thanks all, Just a Guy MD. First of all, I agree, Just a Guy MD, that there are a lot of people that can relate to this exact scenario. Maybe not necessarily through the medical training program, though I know we have many doctors who do watch this show or who are ultra runners, but there are other professions that do deal with this level of commitment and stress. And we have lots of viewers who have written in the past and talked about very similar things. So you're not alone in that respect, but a lot of people are drawn to ultras from those same or similar paths because of the nonstop having to be awake, alert, functioning, and wanting to finish whatever you start with these ultras and going multiple days and stuff like that. I love the idea of bringing a more endurance theme to the channel. With Ginger Runner Live, we do try to vary it up as much as possible. We do, of course, bring on guests that maybe have accomplished something very recently just for timeliness. But there are guests that we've brought on who have done really big projects beyond just, who's the winner of this 50K or that sort of thing. So we do try to mix it up. Obviously, going into 2019, we will continue to try to make this show bigger, better, and more interactive and more fun. We want this to be a huge part of this channel. This is one of our favorite things to do every week, is to be able to sit down and live and just connect with the community in an intimate and immediate way. So yeah, we're always looking to do new things, bring in new guests and stuff like that. And if anyone who's watching ever has an idea of a guest, you can always just bring it into the comments. Just let us know on the YouTube channel, like, hey, you should bring on blank. We do have a pretty long list of people who we're trying to get on currently, and we'll get on in the new year. That list will always grow, so always feel free to drop a name. Yeah. What's going on?
Elena in the chat room says, shout out to my husband who is prepping to speed walk a 5K 2 weeks post outpatient surgery.
Dang.
That's pretty awesome.
We've recently talked about speedwalkers, not on the show, but just like in life, trying to figure out how they do what they do. It is an often mocked, but often misunderstood sport. And very difficult.
It's hard.
It is really hard
to do it correctly.
Yes. And fast. To be a fast speed walker, it is a workout. It is a freaking workout. This one comes to us from Jessica. Hey Ethan, I'm writing while rewatching last week's music live stream, which for those of you unfamiliar, if you are a Patreon supporter, every month I try to do at least one long music composing live stream. I do all my own music for all my movies, and I have a new album coming out. I'm thinking it's going to be January. I realize if I put the album out in December, it's not Christmas music. People wouldn't get it. So January, I'm shooting for January. I think it's much better from a marketing perspective.
I can add some like bells in the background for you if you want.
Hey guys, it's a Christmas album. There's bells. Yeah, it's me, Kim, in the back with bells. Or what was I talking about?
You're reading this
live stream, musical live stream. So yes, this email came to us after that last live stream on Patreon. It's one of the cool perks that we do for usually $3 and above. That live stream inspired me to finally write after many years of following and supporting. I'm from Washington State. Nice. Land of green and mountains and rain. Living there is amazing, as you guys know. So 5 years ago, when I met and married my husband, an active duty Marine, I knew that at some point we'd have to move away as he got stationed elsewhere. When we first arrived in Southern California in 2014 to be stationed at Camp Pendleton, I hated this new place with its brown hills, heat, and rattlesnakes. It took 6 months before I even tried to find new trails to run on. In the process of researching local races and trails, I found you on YouTube. I learned about ultra running, the local scene, and eventually ran Sean O'Brien, Leona Divide, and the Griffith Park races after seeing your videos. All 3 are fantastic races put on by our good friend Kira. My first 50K was inspired by you saying, just do it, run an ultra, which is an email that we got earlier as well in your Squamish video. I trained for hours listening to The Grinds, Canterbury, and your live show podcast over the 4 years we lived in California, and I came to love those brown hills. Just last month, we moved to coastal South Carolina, my husband's new duty station. I actually listened to your entire 100K live stream as we drove across the country. That's dedication right there. You deserve a high five and an award, maybe a medal around the neck, because that is an ultra in and of itself. That was 14 hours of live streaming. It has been a rough transition to this place of mosquitoes, swamps, and flatness. Running on a bike path by a marsh just isn't the same as getting in 6,000-foot, 40-mile training weeks in Southern California. This morning, I was on the treadmill making my own hills and listening to Thursday's archive stream of your music creation. These shows are awesome to be able to see the process that goes into your songs. As I listened to your work, I was transported back to my trails, the ones I ran on listening to your other live streams with Dog Meat on repeat and with the lessons we learned in my ears. As I ran, I started to cry. No shit, cry. Right there on the treadmill. I'm sure I look nuts, but your music has created such a powerful connection to running within me that I had an incredible visceral reaction to hearing your new music. I have to say thank you for your work you do. The gift you give via your videos and podcasts are especially your music is a tangible thing for me, so thank you. I know I'll come to love it here in South Carolina eventually, and your new album will become the soundtrack to my years here before we move again. Thanks again, Jessica. It's an amazing email, Jessica, because the music for me is exactly what it does to me, and why I wanted to create new music with new movies is because I'll go back and listen to songs that I wrote for a specific movie, and it takes me right back to those moments. That's how music is for me. It takes me, if I listen to songs that I loved in the 90s, it takes me right back to those moments, driving my Jeep, in high school or whatever. Kim and I have talked a lot about that because I make music here in this room 2 feet to my left. And every song that I make has a connection to something or a moment in my life, usually current at that time. And so that music always takes me back to those moments. So I'm the same way. And the reason I started that was because I was living in California. And California to me was never I lived there for 10 years and I considered it my home, but my home is the Northwest. And so for me, making music in California, it was always transcendent. It always brought me back here. So that's why I'm really happy to be back in the Northwest and, of course, making music here as well. So I hope the new album does that for you, too. I hope it brings you right back here to the Northwest.
Elena says, any new music available yet or coming soon? I think you just mentioned that.
Yeah. The music industry is really weird, and I didn't know what to do with this new album, if I should release singles one at a time, or if we should just do another album and release them all at once. Because the whole, music thing was a side project that I didn't think would even be what it is today. I just thought, I'd make music for all my running movies, and no one would care. And then people were like, hey, can I get that song? And it kind of grew and grew and grew. Now some people only know Ginger Runner from the music because they found it on Spotify or something.
Right.
And that's always weird and awkward when they're like, what's with all the running movies, dude? I'm like, that's what this is. The music's kind of a side thing.
And they're like, can you stop reviewing shoes and just make music?
What happened to the music, dude? All you do is shoe reviews. Remember when this guy used to make music? I'm like, yeah, I do. What was I talking about? If you're listening on the podcast, it did not stop. It was me
losing your train of thought.
Losing my train of thought. I actually don't remember.
Music.
The singles have not been available on their own because I am putting together a full album. But there's something to be said about why not just release every single as it's available for people. And I don't know, maybe we'll try that with the next album. So release this album and then every song after that, just individual. Yeah, we'll see. All right.
Just a quick quick snippet from the chat room from Matt. Matt says, this channel introduced me to the sport and kept me inspired as I battled nagging knee pain after a 6-hour race at the end of summer. Thank you, Kim and Ethan. You've helped keep the fire burning.
Nice. This is going to be the last viewer mail, and then we're going to move into the post show, and we'll talk to all of our Patreon supporters and maybe read some more emails and stuff like that.
We have some questions as well.
And we'll answer questions and all that good stuff. But this one, it's going to take me a second because it is smaller font. So I just have to make sure that I can see it okay. If I lose my spot, I apologize in advance. But this one comes to us from Ryan, who's a longtime viewer, supporter, and I wanted to make sure that we read this one for sure. I might have to like lean in because it's just a smaller font. I want to start by saying a huge thank you to Gus, as well as to you, Ethan and Kim. You have been an important part of my overall running journey, emphasizing joy and community over results. 100%, that's what we do. I think that's the best way to have phrased it, is joy and community over results any day of the week. A mindset that typically has actually led to all of the above. 2 years ago, I ran my first trail marathon at the North Face Endurance Challenge in Ontario. The following year, I doubled the distance on the same course for my first 50-miler. This year, I wanted to step things up again, but decided that with a toddler and a newborn at home, in addition to a full-time career, I wouldn't have the time and energy needed to train for a 100-miler. So I set my sights on finding a race with over 10,000 feet of elevation gain, no matter the distance. A tall order for Ontario. As fate would have it, I found the perfect one set for October 2018. It ticked all the boxes. 50 miles, more than 10,000 feet, prize money, that in all likelihood I wouldn't be getting, but still, a nice shiny trinket dangling in my sights, and a boost to my ego given it required a qualifier that I had already earned without knowing it. It also gave me plenty of time to follow the Ridgeline Athletics training plan that I had won through us. I was pumped and signed up as soon as registration opened. Then, in April, I got the message that the race had been canceled. I don't know how to justify this, but I was genuinely devastated. First world problems, right? Well, it still sucked, and I seriously lost motivation to get out there and run. That's where, of course, you come in. Your videos and shows, along with the GR community as a whole, are a constant source of inspiration, especially for someone struggling with lack of motivation. I knew I had to keep moving forward, just like a low during a race, and eventually the positivity would come back to me. So I kept looking for a replacement race, maybe because I was afraid to lose my ultra card, which, yes, admittedly is an absurd notion, but none quite fit the bill. Well, actually, one did stand out as sounding really fun with a really interesting and different race format, but I immediately wrote it off as a no-go for this year, given how ridiculously challenging it would be. It was way too soon to be able to put in my 33-week training plan beforehand, and also fell only 1 week after another big race on my schedule. But the more I thought about it, the more fun it seemed, and the more it was calling to me. It got me thinking back to my most fun race experiences and runs in general over the past few years. The ridiculousness seems to be where I thrive, with the annual Gingermas Run Hunt being a perfect example. So I eventually caved, somehow convinced my amazingly supportive wife that it was a good idea, and I signed up. So now, after only 12 weeks of training, I'll be towing the line at the Tally in the Valley Gong Show on July 28th. It's a race, I believe this was sent in July. Ryan I think he's in the chat room.
I don't know if I've seen Ryan yet.
Okay.
Chat room, but he might be.
Ryan, if you're watching, I'd like to know if you finished this, because I don't know if you tell us in the email. I'll be towing the line at the Tally in the Valley Gong Show on July 28th. It's a race much in the same vein as Big's Backyard Ultra, a last man standing scenario on a 7K trail loop repeated hourly. However, fortunately, there is a cap put at 24 hours. Unfortunately, what this means is that if multiple people are left, the final loop effectively turns into a 7-kilometer race following a 161-kilometer warm-up. On paper, I won't make it. I don't have the experience or the training, but fuck it. It'll be a party. Train hard, race harder, party hardest. I know I am. I should also note, part of the reason I'm pushing myself to do this is to raise money for a charity running for rhinos, which teams up with Air Shepherd in South Africa to help protect rhino and elephant populations from the threat of poaching and hopefully avoid extinction of the species. The idea is that I will suffer so they don't have to. If anyone in the community is interested in throwing some support, donations can be made at impact.airshepherd.org/running for rhinos. Give it a look. You can also, I believe they're also on Instagram, or he is on, Ryan is also on Instagram at RunRaggedRhino. Definitely go check that out if you are in the giving mood this holiday for a charity. But Ryan, I would love to know.
Now we need an update.
I would love to know if you managed to crush Tally in the Valley, the Gong Show. I just love the name of it, Tally in the Valley.
But
Gong
also
Show.
like having to race after.
I think it's brilliant. You do 24 hours of racing, 161 kilometers of trail miles, mind you, so it's not flat surfaces or anything like that. And then you all get to that last loop, and it just turns into a foot race. That's brilliant.
We have Ryan Nicholson in the chat room says, I'm a different Ryan, but I ran with Ryan at Tally in the Valley. He finished the 100 miles there.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Ryan, for updating us on Ryan. That's amazing. Like the fact that he was looking for, 50-mile race and 10,000 feet a gain and stuff like that, but then ended up running 100 miles at Tally in the Valley. Gong Show. I don't know if Gong Show is part of the title or if he just added that, but other Ryan, can you let us know? Because I'm also really curious about that. But that's fantastic. So Ryan, I love that we got real-time results without actually having Ryan in the chat room, but we had someone else be able to give it to us. That's another reason why I love this dang community. It's amazing. I love it. I love the idea of just giving yourself an outrageous goal, something that you look at. You think in your mind, no way in hell. I'm not ready. I don't have this 33-week training plan in order. I don't have my shit together, but I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go do it. And then he manages to run 100 miles. Who knows? Maybe more. That's incredible. 161. That's actually pretty close to being one of the last people standing. Because I think, what is 100 miles in kilometers? I think it's 140 something. Oof. Man.
Is it 160 something?
By the time we think of it, chat room's already going to have it.
Question.
Yeah, because what's Wham?
110.
110.
Oh.
165?
175.
And that's 110 miles.
Yeah, so it's 160, I think.
Yeah,
162. Thank you, Vinny1275.
So was he in the last loop and just maybe he didn't finish the last loop the fastest?
Ryan says the Gong Show was one of several races at Tally in the Valley.
Got it. Oh, got it. Cool. That's if we're doing our math correctly, it sounds like Ryan, whose letter I just read, finished the full thing.
Ryan says there was 9 of us that finished the 100 miles there.
Wow, that's incredible. That's
That
amazing.
is incredible.
Well, congratulations also to second Ryan. Did Ryan also do that? Is that what he was saying? There was 9 of us.
Yeah, I think so.
Damn. Stout. That's pretty great.
Question, comment from the chat room.
Yeah, we'll bring that and then we'll wrap up the show.
From Nathaniel says, question for Ethan and Kim. The holiday season can lead some of us to reflect upon the year's achievements and set goals for the future.
Yeah.
What are your 2018 highlights?
Highlights is good. I was thinking, is he going to ask about our next year's goals? We
He
usually
is, but
save
we've
that
had
for a video.
somebody else ask. Casey in the chat room also asked about 2019 goals, but let's talk about 2018 highlights.
For me, it was 100K, 100K. That for me was a big mental block for me for the longest time. The last 2 years, again, I've talked about it on the show. I don't want to harp on it too much, but I deal a lot with anxiety, and that has influenced a lot of my running, unfortunately, like in a negative way. But the 100K was a way for me to not only celebrate reaching the 100,000 subscriber milestone, which is great, but it was really selfish. I just really wanted to know that my body could do it again. Not just my body, but my mind. That I could run 100 kilometers again. And I'm really proud that I managed to get that done. That whole day went about as flawless as you could imagine. Not only from a physical and mental perspective for me, but also a technological thing.
Mm-hmm.
It had never been done before. We live streamed all 14 hours of the 100K, running along with it. It's a boring long watch, but the fact that we did it and it's still, you can go watch it right now, is pretty cool. You can pop that onto your treadmill while you're running and just run with us for 14 hours.
Yeah.
That's probably my highlight. And GRGR this year was really neat to see some of those videos coming from around the globe. That's always a highlight for us doing GRGR. What about you?
What about me? Well, I mean, as far as races go, I didn't race that much this year, but I'm really proud of my Lake Sonoma 50 miler earlier this year. But I think I'm more proud of the fact that I broke up with Strava.
You and Strava had a bit of a, not a falling out, just more of a
It was
cold turkey. Giving-
like Strava for some people is amazing and it
Mhm.
helps them. It was not a good relationship for me. So I'm proud of myself for stepping away from Strava, and I'm also like really proud of the training that I was able to put in this year.
Mhm.
Like pre Lake Sonoma, I did a lot of long runs by myself in the winter.
Yeah.
And managed to kind of hang on to training and stick with it all throughout the year, even though I didn't race that much.
Yeah, your training, if you, again, Kim wasn't on Strava much just for
The last half of the
very
year,
specific
anyways.
reasons and
Mhm.
like on purpose. But her training has been incredible. Dropping 40 to 60 mile weeks just without a race on the schedule, just for fun. Z's. But a big shout out to you for your last winter's training, like, because it was really our first big winter in the Pacific
Mhm.
Northwest.
Yep.
We had snow, rain. It just got ugly. It gets if you live up here, it gets ugly for a good 3 months.
And I think you weren't 100% healthy or something, so you weren't doing as long of miles, or I can't remember what it. I feel like there was
some injury
something.
earlier
Yeah.
this year. I think it was like a tendon thing, and like my hamstring and stuff like that. I was having more issues from a previous injury, and yeah, just get my miles down. So you're doing a lot of solo miles alone in the snow, in the dark, headlamp
Mhm.
only on the trails, and it's stout running what you were doing, which is pretty damn awesome.
Nathaniel says, "Part of my ignorance. What was the bad Strava experience? Was it trolls? It wasn't a bad Strava experience. It was just that, like my coach and I talked about it. It was just more of the numbers game,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not really a reason to run.
Yeah.
I was putting unnecessary pressure and comparison on myself. That was not giving like my mental game. It was not doing my mental game any favors. So just kind of stepping back from that, it just helped me kind of be a happier runner.
And that was one of mine specifically, but both Kim and I share a lot of these sentiments of just throttling back on the social media side of things more this year. That was one of our resolutions last year, going into this year, 2018. And I've started to do it more in the last 2-3 months, and it has been healthy. I think all of us can take a bit of a break from stuff. I think Strava is a good example. I love Strava. I love it. I also hate it because of the comparisons, like immediate comparisons where you just see a feed of what everyone's done and go, oh, well, I didn't do that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying Strava's bad. It just was bad for me at that particular time, and I'm not saying that I'll never go back on Strava again because I haven't like deleted my account or anything, but I just am not on there.
But we'll talk more about that in the post show. Casey had the last question of the night. Go ahead.
Casey asked, Kim and Ethan, do either of you have big plans for 2019?
So I don't tend to plan out a whole year in advance, only because I've learned that it's difficult to say I'm going to run blank in September now. One, I have a hard time committing to something like that because I know so much stuff changes and comes up last minute, especially as a filmmaker. Opportunities happen when you least expect it. You just got to say yes. So I'm not one to commit. That being said, there's a couple things that we have committed to. Do we want to talk about those?
I'm fine talking about it. I was thinking, you're like, oh, I'm not one to commit. I don't want to like plan that far ahead. I think my 2019 right now is probably my most planned out year so far.
In a long time.
In a long time.
Yeah.
And a part of that is it just helps me stay focused and motivated. And I'm excited for 2019. So my big goal, I haven't registered yet because registration is not open yet, but it's opening very soon. My big goal is going to be WHAM 110K. And in
So cool.
prep for that, I'll be doing Squamish 50K, and then I'll also be hopefully choosing a 50 miler earlier in the year.
WHAM is Whistler Alpine Meadows. It is 100 kilometers,
110 kilometers, 20,000 feet of gain.
My biggest 100K is about 15,000 feet. You were there. You paced me the last 20 miles, and it is a fucking ride.
I am a little scared, but I'm also really excited about it.
I think it's going to be so beautiful. And when you know there's that much gain, it almost takes a bit of the pressure off because you're going to be power hiking so much of it. With Quicksilver, I didn't know. With Quicksilver, I was like, well, it's like 15,000 feet again. So like, how much of that do I run? And then I would like the whole time I was like, oh God, I'm not running this. So you have that like constant battle of I'm not doing well. Whereas with Whistler, it's like you know that it's a power hike fest. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, so I basically have my focus down for what my training needs to be for the
You just verbalize
year.
it on the show. It's official. Well, pending getting in.
Yeah, that's
but the race itself is monster. That's awesome.
Yeah. And of course we're doing I just saw Gretchen Waller just popped in the chat room here. Hi Gretchen. We're doing Gretchen's race in April.
It's on
our anniversary weekend, so we're spending it with Gretchen.
It's a 12-hour overnight loop-based race. We haven't done one of these in a while. We love the loop-based format.
And it's a good opportunity for me to get some night running in also, which I will need for my other races in the year.
That'll be Starlight Overnight is what it's called. 12 hours. It'll be a lot of fun. Lots of volunteer spots open. I don't think Gretchen's opening up any more race spots. It sold out very quickly. We're very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then Squamish 50 miler.
That's right.
I got into that. That was one of those timed things where I timed it just perfectly. So got into
the 50K was already sold out by the time you got it.
Yeah,
I think the 50-50 was also sold out, right?
I wanted to run the 50K, sold out. I was like, maybe I'll just do the 50-50, sold out. Damn it, I gotta do just the 50 miler. Like if I'm gonna train, I might as well do the 50-50. This 50 miler, it's hard. I've done it 2 times now, and both times it sucked balls.
Oh, Gretchen says there is a wait list, so I don't know if they're still taking names for the wait list. I'm guessing yes.
I would say that if you guys have any intention of joining us, the invite's there. If you would like to join us at the Starlight Overnight, it is in April. It is a loop-based overnight 12-hour run. A lot of fun. It is a full-on party. You believe you can put your name on the wait list. Gretchen has told us that the wait list does move quite significantly. So.
I think they've already had movement on the wait list too.
Yeah. So pop your name onto the list. Come join us. Should be fun. Let's get loopy. Otherwise, I think that's it for the main show. We're going to move into the after show here. We'll answer any more questions that you guys have for next year, stuff like that. We do have plans, some pretty fun things coming up. Regardless, if you would like to join us for this after show or any after show, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to all of our archived after shows and tonight and future after shows. So we would love to have you. It does support the channel. It helps us do this full time, which is what we love. And it is the holidays, and we would love to have you join us for the holidays, especially around Gingermas, because there's a little bit of extra bonus that GR crew members, Patreon supporters get as part of that. So
that's right.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Thank you to everybody who is sharing their stories with us. If it didn't get read on air tonight,
thank you.
Thank you for sending it in. Regardless, we do read them. Obviously, we read one from July, so we do keep them for future shows as well. So if you have viewer mail, you can send it in anytime. There's some people saying, "Oh, I missed sending it in." You can still send it in. Subject line viewer mail.
Yeah. It was a mishmash tonight. We had people from all over the last couple of months, so I still have dozens of emails that I did not read. So if you did submit, I apologize for not getting to those tonight. We do, of course, have a time limit. Thank you all so much for the support over the last year. We have one more actual Ginger Runner Live episode next Monday. Then the following Monday is Gingermas Live with Gary Robbins. So we only have 2 more shows left of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go out with a bang.
I almost said 2017.
I almost said 2019. Just for our podcast viewers, it did not end. I was taking a dramatic pause moment there. Someone's running on the trails and they just stopped and laughed. Or they puked.
Or they turned their podcast
they skipped to the next one.
Threw their phone away because like, my phone's broken.
Ginger Runner Live, this is a stupid podcast. Too much silence. That's the voice of the person that hates us.
I don't know what to say.
One tip of getting past trolls on the internet, give them a voice. Normally they sound like this. They're so grumpy. That's pretty much it. And it humanizes them.
And Gus is snoring.
Gus is snoring. We'll see you guys in the after show. Thank you so much for the support. Get out there, train hard, race harder, part of the hardest. You know I am.
I am.
We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.